And neither team was at full strength. Both the senior co-captains for the Saints were not at 100% and not available. They won that game on a buzzer beater by Jim Canamesa. The game down in New Jersey a couple of weeks ago, not quite as close. The Saints look like they have the better of the matchup, but it's tough to beat any team 3 times in a season.
It is, and this is not going to be a tortoise and the hare type game, though. I think Ryder's going to try to push the ball up the floor on opportunities.
Well, as we mentioned, the Saints are 3rd in the country in scoring. The Bronx are capable of putting up points, so it should be interesting.
They certainly are. I think the X factor of this game, though, is going to be R.J. Wicks. He's now coming into the starting lineup. He's 6'4", adds size to the backcourt for Ryder. Expect R.J. Wicks to defend Marcus Faison. It's going to be a great matchup.
Okay, let's check out the starting lineups brought to you by GMAC. First for the Siena Saints, Marcus Faison, Melvin Freeney, Dave Dieters, Jim Canamesa, and Corey Osinski. 4 of those 5 capable of putting up 20 points at any time.
And Doug, the X factor for Siena, I think, is going to be Melvin Freeney because of his on-the-ball defense. I think Finnefrock is going to have a big game for Ryder this game. He's going to have to take care of the basketball, make good decisions in attacking the Siena pressure.
That'll be a key matchup. You see the rest of the starters there for the Ryder Bronx, and good matchups all the way around. It should be interesting. As I mentioned, these two teams were expected to be here. They're expected both to get to the semifinals, but since they're on the same bracket, one will move on and one will go home tonight.
I think so. I think it's going to be a great matchup. Expect Ryder really to play a little different game than they played the last time when Siena came into Ryder. I think Siena is going to be a little bit more proactive in the running game.
Okay, back to the Ryder starters. Finnefrock and Burston, the seniors in the backcourt. Wicks has become your X factor. He only starting the last 2 games of the regular season. And then McPeak and Lacey. McPeak's back in the starting lineup, and since he's gotten healthy, he has been what everybody thought he would be as a senior.
Well, now McPeak really has come on. His ability to get offensive rebounds, and it gives them another option into the low post. McPeak's been tough in that block this year.
Okay, when we come back, we'll have the opening tip-off between the Siena Saints and the Ryder Bronx. Jim Canamesa and the Saints. He's the guy who hit the game-winning shot up at the Pepsi Arena between these two clubs. It's all coming up next when we come back on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by Marine Midland Bank for all your financial needs. The Pepsi-Cola Company. GMAC, the GM College Grad Program, and your local Pontiac dealers. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Bob's Stores, great buys on brands you wear. The New York Lottery Games, hey, you never know. Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. Mazda, get in, be moved. And by Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. We're back in Buffalo for our MAAC basketball quarterfinal, number 3 of the 4 games here today. We started out early this morning. We'll go till late in the night. It's the Ryder Bronx against the Siena Saints at the Marine Midland Arena. They have shut the lights out for the starting lineups, as they always do here at the Marine Midland Arena. And you see the big Jumbotron and the spotlight at center court that Kevin McPeak is walking into right now. And we're glad you could join us. Doug Sherman along with Glenn Consor. And this Siena ball club at 22-5 started the season 18-2, best record in school history. They've even gotten votes most recently as this week in both the AP and the coaches poll. There's still talk, Glenn, that if the Saints can make it to the championship game on Monday night, yet losing that would leave them 24-6 and still maybe be able to reach the NCAAs. This is that type of team, 52nd in the RPI right now.
Well, I think so. I think with some big wins, 9-0 in non-conference play is really going to help that decision come tournament time if, in fact, Siena does, in fact, get bumped.
Well, if they get bumped either tonight in the quarters or tomorrow afternoon in the semis, the Saints are a shoo-in for the NIT, but obviously nobody at Siena wants to talk about that. They're only focused on keeping the destiny in their own hands and going all the way to Monday night and picking up a victory in the title tilt. But they'll have to get by the Ryder Bronx, who were 7-11 during the regular year. They won 5 of the last 7 coming into the tournament and then won the play-in round last night, so that's 6 out of 8. And the Bronx have had a rough go of it. They had to play on the road a lot this year early. They had the injuries that we've talked about. But right now, good crowd in from New Jersey as well. We talked about the fan base from Albany for the Siena folks. But the Bronx will not go easily.
Right. And the 2 losses that Siena had, that Ryder had versus Siena this year, Ryder was very much undermanned. Either McPeak or Lacey was out. And this is the type of team when you play against Paul Hewitt's team, you have to be in full force. And right now, for the first time all year, Ryder seems to be gelling. I like the fact that Donnie Harnum has put in R.J. Wicks and is making the adjustment into the starting five. When you make an adjustment like that late in the season, that's a sign of good coaching.
Well, whether it coincided or not, R.J. Wicks, since removing the face mask, has really been a big key. We see Paul Hewitt, the second-year head coach at Siena. And Don Harnum, as you talked about, the second-year head coach of the Ryder Bronx. But Wicks played the entire season with a face mask after suffering a broken nose, and it's all coincided with getting back in the starting lineup and being a big key for the Bronx.
You know, when you talk to Donnie Harnum, during the course of the year, even with all the injuries, the concussions, the broken bones, the broken noses, there was a calm confidence in Donnie Harnum's voice saying, when we become full force, when we're healthy, we're going to be a pretty good team. And right now, this is the type of team that Siena is facing. Ryder, the big change with Ryder is now they're playing very strong defense. They're pushing the ball up the floor. Guys like Finnefrock and Burston can shoot. And what you don't realize about R.J. Wicks, who's now in the starting lineup, as the ball goes inside, Burston lunges, picks up the reach foul. But R.J. Wicks at a high school, he's 6'4", was a point guard. So he can handle the ball, and he'd be great. He's going to be a great addition against this kind of pressure.
Well, what they've done with him in the half-court set is Osinski misfires. They use him on the wing to feed the post.
But he's just going to give him that much help attacking the full-court pressure.
A true swing man. Underneath Lacey. Falls to the floor, missed the shot. Dieters with a second rebound. Melvin Freeney drives around Finnefrock. The finger roll, no. Osinski knocked it around. McPeak pulls it away. Here comes Finnefrock, and if the Bronx hustle, they may have numbers. Finnefrock pulled up, missed, but the tip by Lacey. And the Ryder Bronx are on the board first.
Well, we talked about the patient push that Ryder's going to need in the early part of this game. Take care of the basketball, attack Siena. Teams that run usually don't get back that well, so expect Ryder to push on Siena.
Corey Osinski with his first hoop. We're tied at 2 in the early going, just about a minute 20 gone. How long do we have to wait, Glenn, for your unveiling of the most improved team?
Well, we're just teasing it out there. We got most improved team, and we also have my all-defensive team that we're going to wait to see.
But how long are you going to make me wait?
Well, I'm just going to keep teasing you a little bit, throwing the carrots out there. I'll mention a couple of guys, see if you can catch on.
All right. Although you're kind of acting like Dick Vitale, saying about 10 names today that are going to make each team.
There you go.
Everybody's on your all-star squad.
I'm just not hooting and hollering. He does a great job. He's the best.
Here's Osinski inside, and that's going to be a tough matchup. He presents matchup problems, and Corey already has 4 points.
Yeah, I love Corey Osinski. You talk about my most improved. He might be. I'll give you a hint. I'm going to tip you off a little bit. He's on the team.
I would hope so.
He clearly is the most improved player in this conference. Just so active from where he came from last year. He's gotten a lot stronger. Just doing so many things offensively. And you know what? You go to a practice, a Siena practice, he's just outworking his other teammates. There's no magic to this. You work hard in practice, you play well in games.
Burston on the curl, gets the layup. Senior from Hummelstown, Pennsylvania, has his first 2 points. We're tied at 4. 2.5 minutes gone by. Ryder in the straight man-to-man. Facing. Banks it in. Well, three-point shooting is not his primary forte. He's not that bad at it.
Well, three-point shooting from the top of the key off the glass is something that I'm not sure Marcus Faison has perfected yet.
But he didn't break the smile.
No.
McPeak working hard underneath, gets around Dieters. And it's 7-6 Siena. This tempo so far would indicate who's got the advantage now.
Well, right now, the tempo standpoint, it would seem that Siena has. But I like the way Ryder's attacking, and I don't think it's helter-skelter yet. See, Siena wants to get you in a helter-skelter game because they like to play in the 90s. They like to play in the 100s.
Can a team, though, that is susceptible, as Scott Knapp brings it up, he's come into the game, susceptible to giving up 90 points in a game, can they win 3 games in a row in a tournament situation? Mesa hits the 3.
Well, the bench play is going to be key, and I like what Paul Hewitt does with guys like bringing Knapp off the bench, Brandon Fields off the bench, Stewart off the bench. It's a very deep Siena team. I think he can play that way.
And there's senior co-captain Brandon Fields coming off the bench for his first 2.
Conditioning is the key. A lot of people think that this is helter-skelter. There's no rhyme or reason to it, but this is a very well-oiled and drilled Siena team with their full-court pressure.
Faison called for the over-the-back foul on the Finnefrock miss. Non-shooting foul. It'll be Ryder ball.
I had a chance to play for Rick Pitino in college, who really was the innovator of this style of play for guys like Donnie Harnum and Paul Hewitt. And one of the things that we were always taught by Rick Pitino was to stay in it. You're just eventually going to wear a team down. And that's what Rick's philosophy has been throughout the years, but you need a bench.
Even in the 70s, was he running as much as he
wound
up doing at Kentucky?
We pressed for 40 minutes. We just didn't have that three-point shot,
line,
but we still were jacking him up because that's what he wanted.
Right. Isaiah Stewart misfires. Offensive board again by Brandon Fields. He'll go to the line to shoot 2.
See, the whole philosophy in pressing for a whole game is that the last 5 minutes of the game, your opponent is going to make mistakes and turn the ball over, and that's when you're going to capitalize. Stewart comes up, pulls the trigger quickly, and we talked about offensive rebounding. That's what Brandon Fields brings to the table off the bench. He's a senior, he's experienced, he's got a nose for the ball.
Fields, who's from Houston, Texas, and his dad flew in today up in the stands, makes his first. Jonathan McClark and Michael Crawford check in for Ryder. Finnefrock goes out, as does Ken Lacey. Fields missed 5 games during the regular year with a sprained ankle, but he's back to pretty much 100%. Gets 1 out of 2. McClark just into the game, grabs the rebound.
One of the other things I like about Siena is that they make free throws, leading the nation in free throw shooting percentage, and that's how you win and lose close games, Doug.
They make 8 out of every 10. Foul out front against Dale Taylor, freshman from Boston, just into the game. Non-shooting foul, so the Ryder Broncs will have it when we come back. Leroy Hendricks, the official, made the call. 15:52 remaining in the half. 13-6 Siena on the MAAC Television Network. Back in Buffalo, and this week's Did You Know feature brought to you by Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. And Siena junior forward Marcus Faison is the cousin of a former Villanova Wildcat, Chuck Cornegay. Let's send it over to Jack.
Guys, when we were talking before the game about Siena having all the style within their game going up and down, now they got to have that substance. In their last 3 MAAC losses, they've given up 94.5 points. So they got to really turn the heat up on the D and stop some people. Ryder, on the other hand, has turned the ball over 24 times in both games. They got to do a better job taking care of the ball in this game to be successful. Back to you, fellas.
Indeed, Jack. Thank you.
See, one of the things that I think Siena likes to do is they want to up-tempo. So giving up those 90 to 94 points a game, Siena still feels at the end of the game that they can pull it out because the opposing team will be tired. That is the philosophy behind playing this way.
Scott Knapp, part of that instant offense off the bench. Last year's MAAC Rookie of the Year with his first 3 points. Siena up by 10. And a travel called against Wicks. So the backcourt pressure causes another turnover.
And Paul Hewitt has instilled a system where they will trap you hard. And if you notice when Siena traps you in the backcourt, they won't reach. They're looking for deflections and they're looking for turnovers.
Corey Osinski to inbound. Melvin Freeney's come back into the game along with Dave Dieters.
Big Bob Madigan, our official, just told Corey Osinski not to move, and I froze. Big man.
The Saints have already forced the Broncs into 4 turnovers, and we're just 5 minutes into the game. Siena 16, Ryder 6. Wicks knocks it out of bounds. It'll be Siena ball on the sideline. Corey Osinski, who has doubled his scoring and rebounding totals from a year ago. There's Dwayne Archibald, freshman guard, who comes in for Siena, replacing Scott Knapp. McClark knocks the ball away from Canamesa. Siena will get it back with 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Donnie Harnum knows right now that his team has to limit their turnovers and set a precedent early this game, not turn the ball over. You don't want to get behind against Siena. Siena is too deep.
Freeney forces it up, comes up short. Osinski on the offensive glass.
Well, that's what that 20 extra pounds on the upper body will do. He's been, not only was he able to get stronger, but he's kept his quickness.
Crowd wanted to travel against Wicks. Broncs settled into their half court. Quick double team against Lacey. Step through it nicely. Crawford swings to Burston. Holding foul against Dieters on the baseline as McClark drove to the basket.
And Paul Hewitt jumped off the bench and thought that McClark had hooked Dieters. Keep your eye on the left arm of McClark as he tries to. See how he hooks him in there? Tough call right there. That's a tough call. But I'm not going to tell Bob Madigan that. No, not me.
And it was him who made the call, yes.
Yeah. Good call, Bob.
18-6, Siena. Three-pointer by Crawford off the mark. Osinski rips it away from Lacey. Melvin Freeney. Osinski again nearly tipped it in. Ryder, though, gets it away. Jonathan McClark. Then we've got a foul against McClark as he banged Osinski. Getting physical. We're only 6.5 minutes into the game.
A little battle going on underneath between Jonathan McClark and Osinski on both ends of the floor. Now it's underneath Siena's basket. Keep your eye on McClark as he gets rid of it. Watch the push. He's going to get rid of it. Watch the little push. There's a little shoulder block. Good call. Right on top of that.
Now Bob Madigan tells Fields and Lacey to relax a little bit. Canamesa misfires on the three. Faison tries to save and does to Fields. But the pass back out, intercepted. McClark can't come up with it. Loose ball still on the floor. Here comes Siena to Osinski for the slam. Corey Osinski with 8 quick points. And the Saints have opened up a 14-point lead. 22nd timeout called by the Bronx. And Don Harnum cannot believe that he did not get a foul call.
Well, capitalizing on the Ryder turnovers is really how Siena has extended this lead. You take a look at the loose balls. Good hustle by Faison, keeps it alive, and this is where the mayhem starts. McClark picked it up, got rid of it, and within the mad scramble, Freeney looked ahead and saw Osinski underneath. You have to take care of the basketball. So you can't go east and west against Siena. They're too quick. You got to get the ball up the floor and try to score, make them pay for the pressure.
Jack Armstrong, what have you got?
Don Harnum was emphatic in his huddle just there with his team about slow down and stop rushing. Siena's gotten them in their pace way too much. Back to you, fellas.
And that pace has created a 13-0 Siena run. The Saints on top by 14, so it was 7-6 Siena. And Osinski the defensive rebound. Facing inside to Taylor. Fields keeps it alive to himself. It's a 15-0 run.
See, right now, Siena's pushing the ball up the floor, made and missed baskets, and they're getting offensive rebounds because Ryder's not set on defense.
Hutchinson into the game, one of the fine freshmen for the Bronx. He and Mario Porter really distinguished themselves this year. Fields hammers Crawford, who will go to the line. Brandon Fields picks up the personal, and that's his first, making sure Crawford didn't get to the basket.
Well, Donnie Harnum took out Wicks and put in Crawford for a little bit more scoring punch. Little change of pace dribble, got him to the basket. Fields just got there too slow, wanted to prevent the basket. This is what you get. The body block.
First point for Ryder in over 4 minutes. Snaps the 15-0 Siena run. Archibald in, Osinski out. McPeak returns for Ryder. McClark goes to the bench. We're at the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo, third of our 4 MAAC quarterfinals. Crawford gets them both.
You talk about set a precedent early in the way of style of play. Boy, Siena has really done that. Making the statement early to Ryder saying, you're going to have to bring the ball up, and you're going to have to play this up-tempo style, and you're going to have to do it for 40 minutes.
And Dwayne Archibald gets into the scoring column himself, knocking down the three. 25-8. And the Saints' pressure causes another turnover. It's Archibald who had it stripped away. Out of bounds, Siena ball, and Michael Crawford took a shot to the midsection, and he will come out of the game. Wicks comes back in. And here's that pressure again in the backcourt. Finnefrock lost it.
You get guys like Faison and Archibald with the long arms, and not only are their arms long, but their hands are quick, and they could get those little strips by your waist. You have to take care of the basketball. Protect it.
Facing inside Archibald, posting on Burston. Shot blocked by McPeak, who came over to help out. Kevin Finnefrock, 5'9" senior point guard. He and Burston both, they're each capable of putting up 30 points on any given night. Here's McPeak against the double team. Forced it up, Archibald the rebound. Faison tripped on his way to the basket. Don Harnum wanted a traveling violation, but Wicks is called for the block. Timeout on the floor here in Buffalo. 11:35 left in the first half. Siena's jumped out quickly to a 17-point lead on the MAAC television network.
This is my business card. I'm a reporter and co-host for Adelphia. How did I get there? Well, before this, I worked on air at a local TV station. Good evening, this is Jody Johnston with a news update. I got that job thanks to an internship I did at Canisius. I guess it proves when you graduate from Canisius, a lot of good things are in the cards.
Marine Midland Bank is proud to sponsor the Marine Midland Family Section. Tickets and programs for today's game were provided by Marine Midland Bank for all your financial needs. As you take a look at some of the folks who drove across the New York State Thruway from Albany to watch the Siena Saints at this time, we send it over to Jack Armstrong.
Guys, I was just in Paul Hewitt's huddle, and he really talked about keeping the pressure on against Ryder. They're really struggling against it. And Kevin Finnefrock, his lack of height, really having trouble against the pressure defense. Just staying into him and applying the pressure on the D. Back to you.
Thank you, Jack. And another three-pointer for Dwayne Archibald. Now Ryder has trouble getting the ball in. They do to Wicks. 28-8. Siena by 20. 11:10 to go in the first half.
I had a chance to go to Siena's practice yesterday, and they were really fired up. You think they might have lost some confidence after they got waxed by Iona, but this team really practiced hard yesterday, an indication of how they were going to come out today. And you see the great ball movement creates openings inside. Osinski's just constant movement kind of reminds me of the old John Havlicek days for the Celtics. Just get some easy baskets in the blocks, and watch Osinski get in the gap. Lacey caught him by surprise, had to turn his back, and look how frustrated Lacey is on this play. He just wasn't there. No one communicating to Lacey that Osinski was playing peekaboo on the baseline, and there's the surprise.
Lacey picks up the personal, and Osinski, a repeat performer on the MAAC All-Academic team, at the line. 3.57 GPA in English. Again, consort numbers.
Oh, man.
Come on.
Quite the opposite.
Osinski goes out having scored 11. Dwayne Archibald goes to the bench as well. Taylor's back in. So is Scott Knapp and Isaiah Stewart. And Osinski's got 5 rebounds to go along with those 11 points. McPeak works his way to the foul line. Taylor called for the personal.
See, one of the few touches McPeak has had so far after the first 10 minutes of the first half, because they just can't get him the ball inside. Lacey, a little high-low from Lacey, and this is Ryder's game. Going into McPeak on the blocks, but they have not been able to get down just to execute a half-court offense. Already 8 turnovers from Ryder. Siena capitalizing on those turnovers, extending the lead, and Donnie Harnum's going to have to figure out a way to get by that front line in the press, which is guys like Archibald and Faison, 2 6'6" guys with long arms. You either, Doug, have to blow by him, or you got to pass over him. And Finnefrock right now doesn't have the speed, and he doesn't have the height to pass over him. And that's what's happening to Ryder right now.
Finnefrock now being posted underneath by Canamesa. His Knapp misfired. Wicks inside, nice pass to Lacey. Looked like he was mauled in the triple team, no foul call. But the Saints have immediately doubled the post every time Ryder's gotten it down there.
Well, one of the things that Paul Hewitt has told this team is when the ball goes inside, go in and double team it, force Ryder to beat you from the outside. So they're going to gamble. That's the statement that Siena's making. You're going to beat us from the outside, but we're not going to let you score inside on the block. So we're doubling down.
10:15 to go in the first half. McPeak short on the jump hook. Knapp after it. He's got it. Knapp had to fill in for a good chunk of this season at the point. Faison traveled. Turns it back over. Now we send it over to Jack.
Well, guys, I think it's a blessing for Siena not to have that first seed and play on the road at the here in Buffalo. No pressure on them. They can come in and really attack people. And you can see tonight, this group is focused and really getting after people on the defensive side of the ball. Back to you.
Thank you, Jack. And Wicks in and out. Tipped by Lacey. He's still working inside, and he will go to the line.
And one of the things that Jack had mentioned regarding that is it's the mystique of being the #1 seed coming into the tournament. What that means psychologically to teams, and I'm not too sure, though, if Siena really is bothered by that or by not being the #1 seed, but for the fact that they want to win games, but they want to do it their way, and I think they're playing with a lot of confidence right now.
And Siena can still claim to be co-champs, which they were during the regular season. They had a 13-5 record just like Niagara did, but because of the tiebreaker system, the Purple Eagles sweeping the Saints during the regular year.
Right.
Niagara winds up being the top seed, Siena the #2 seed. But the bottom line is, no matter what seed you are, no matter what bracket you are, you got to win 3 straight games in 3 straight days against good opponents.
Right. And Paul Hewitt has stressed, at least yesterday in practice, let's do what we do well. Let's not be reactive. Let's be proactive. Let's get the press on. Let's force them to play our game. That's what we're seeing.
Faison and Fields there in the backcourt, the senior co-captains, the only 2 seniors on this club. Whistle and a foul against Melvin Freeney, who is trying to post up Finnefrock. Finnefrock was heavily recruited by Siena as well 4 years ago, but wound up choosing to go to the Lawrenceville, New Jersey school, and Finnefrock has had a fine career. He was the MVP of the team a couple of years ago, and like I said, he's capable of dropping 30 on you. Had 32 against these Siena Saints just over a year ago.
Well, Finnefrock just brings so much to the table. You know, he's not overly quick. He's not a great athlete. He's not a great leaper. But he just brings so much emotion and passion when he plays. An excellent shooter.
Well, if you're having a pickup game and choosing sides, I would think you'd want him on your team.
No question about it. Just gets it done.
2 for 2 from the foul line for Finnefrock. 31-13 Siena. 9:37 to go in the first half. Archibald, who's 2 for 2 on his threes, make it 3 for 3.
So many weapons. Archibald can make shots. Faison can make shots. Of course, Scott Knapp, one of the best shooters in the conference. Freeney can make the 3. They got the inside game. They seem to have a lot of answers and a lot of weapons out there.
McPeak misses. That kind of summarizes the way the half has gone for the Bronx. Mario Porter gets the offensive board. To Finnefrock the cutter. And again, that will let you know how it's been for the Bronx. In and out, down and out. Isaiah Stewart back into the game. Here's Fields pulling up from 18. Wicks another rebound. Well, if you're Ryder, you just want to make a run before the half and get it back down to a more workable number. But Porter called for the charge. Fields stepped over and took it.
Well, that was a predictable play. I almost jumped over the table and took that myself. You knew he was going to the basket. Fields read it nicely. You look in his eyes, you know where he's going with this, and Fields easily steps in. Good call. Takes the charge. Thanks for holding me back, Doug, because I almost did that.
No problem.
Just instinctual.
Well,
there it is.
I think you're not as strong as you normally are. It's been a long day. Generally, you'd have worked out of my grip.
Yeah, I would have got through.
Fields out. Marcus Faison and Isaiah Stewart have also gone to the bench. Dieters, Knapp, and Canamesa back in. Dieters, the starting center from the Chicago, Illinois area.
See the good ball movement. This is a team that likes to run off of screens. Dieters at 6'11" could make that shot. And when it's set, you got a 7-footer, 6'11" guy shooting from the outside. You know what that means? That brings the big guys away from the basket, and it lends for offensive rebounding.
Finnefrock guarded closely by Freeney. 5-second violation. The close defense caused Finnefrock to turn it over. Back over to Jack.
Guys, remember when you were a kid, particularly you, Glenn, you had a record play when you were a kid, and the record would be 33, and you'd put it on, and by mistake, it would be 78 RPMs. That's how Ryder feels right now. They're all disjointed. Back to you.
My record player never went to 33, so I thought everything was high speed all the time. I could never figure it out.
And, Jack, how young do you think I am?
Yeah.
I remember RPMs and all that stuff. I had a record player.
Did
Come
you?
on, yeah. I was a child of the 70s.
You were an 8-track guy, though.
I had 8-track.
You were an 8-track guy.
It was more of a family thing at the time. I didn't have my own 8-track.
Right.
But the family stereo, certainly.
They let you use it. They let you play your, David Cassidy and Partridge Family album.
McPeak fouled in close. I still say I picked up the latest album.
Yeah? You say you use
Say
album?
album.
Really?
36-13 Siena. Finnefrock gets deep penetration and drops it for McPeak.
Nice dish, and McPeak was ready. Got fouled from behind. But that segment is an indication of exactly how Ryder has to attack the pressure. They got to blow by the pressure and make them pay. On the other hand, with this tremendous deficit that they're under, I really believe that Ryder's going to have to role reversal here and apply some pressure to Siena. They got to get back. They can't just match baskets right now. They need possessions. They need stops.
McPeak hits them both, and the Ryder Bronx within 21. It's been a quick Siena start, 36-15. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. Back in Buffalo, here's a look at the summary of this season's Chase MAAC Players of the Week. And the Player of the Year, Alvin Young, stands to reason he would have won the most. But then Marcus Faison of Siena, the only repeat performer on the first-team All-Star squad, won a couple of them. So the Chase MAAC Player of the Week brought to you by Chase Manhattan Bank. The right relationship is everything. Back over to Jack Armstrong.
Guys, I was just in Don Harnum's huddle. He spoke to his team about when the ball goes into the post, the double team's really hurting him. Spread the floor out a little bit more and try to keep the ball in the middle of the floor to prevent those trapping situations. Back to you, fellas.
All right, Finnefrock, Burston, Porter, Crawford, and Lacey. A small lineup out there for the Bronx. 3 guards. Osinski working, and a goaltending against Lacey. Osinski back into the game, and he's already got 13 points.
He's become so efficient in the blocks. He just doesn't miss in there, and he's tricky, he's crafty, he's poised. He knows how to draw contacts. He knows how to draw fouls.
Well, I saw him play his high school basketball at Chalmont High School outside of Schenectady, and he was in a league where at his size he could pretty much do whatever he wanted. And it's taken him a while, I think, to develop, realizing what he can and can't do. And there he is in the paint, knocking down a quick 13-footer.
Well, the sign of a good coach is the significant amount that his players improve during the course of a year. Osinski's done it. Faison's become just a complete player. You don't see him scoring 30, 35 points a game, but his overall game has improved. Freeney's gotten better. Stewart's gotten better. And you see how tough Siena is on the break. They just make good decisions, and I think that's a sign of a good coach.
I think you're going to have to break out your all-improved team.
You think so?
You're making a lot of references.
I don't know.
I know we got a long ways to go.
There's a lot of people that want to see my most improved team.
All right.
And my all-defensive team, but
Give me a peek. Come on. We don't have to put it on the screen.
I'm not doing it out here on the desk. No, I want the folks watching to see it just as quickly as you're going to see it. You're not going to get an advantage on them.
I thought we were buddies.
We are. We're boys.
All right.
But, you got to draw the line somewhere.
All right. I see how it goes. Siena 40, Ryder 15. A 15-0 run by the Saints opened up a 7-6 game early going, and the pressure has just been devastating. Here it is again, and Knapp makes them pay. Sophomore from Sherrill, New York, now has 6 points.
See the defense. Boy, Siena is active on defense. They're doing a great job rotating, and that's just a super job, and there's the turnover. They're rotating. They're gambling, and when you gamble, usually someone's open, but Siena's been quick enough to rotate to the open man and force Ryder to rush, and that's exactly what's happening. The ball is swung around the perimeter. Crawford goes in, opens it up, and gets called for the travel.
Scott Knapp at the point. Inside Osinski. That time Wicks had good defensive position. Used the right hand to come around and knock it away. Finnefrock guarded by Knapp. 6:14 to go in the first half. 43-15 Siena. Porter guarded by Canamesa. Wicks, the entry to Lacey. Fouled on the way up by Dieters. Wound up getting great position underneath, and Dieters was pinned back. Nothing he could do but commit the foul. See how deep he got.
Lacey gets good position inside on Dieters. He just couldn't finish inside. Look at the position. He's moving Dieter's back as he catches it, goes up. Dieter's kind of hits him with his elbows on the way up. But, boy, Siena is really doing a terrific job with their full court press. Ryder's going to have to figure out a way in the second half to come back. They're going to have to do it with defensive stops, but they're also going to have to find a way to attack the pressure. The reason why Siena is so effective against Ryder with this press is they have versatile guys. You could have 2 6'8" guys up front pressing you and rotating back, and that's the difference. Donnie Harnum's going to have his hands full in the way of a halftime conversation with these folks.
Well, you know, Siena, until 2 weeks ago, would have been considered the favorite coming into this tournament, but they lost 3 of their last 7 games and fell from that. I mean, when you ask all the coaches at the media luncheon a couple of days ago, all the newspaper articles, all of a sudden nobody was mentioning Siena as a favorite, and I think maybe the Saints took that to heart, that we may not be the dominant team unless we go out there and work at it. Canada Mesa fouled. I mean, mindset. You talked about it, and Jack talked about it a few minutes ago about the mindset of a #1 seed. It can be a burden.
Well, it certainly can, but I think Siena has so many weapons. Between the point guard, Freeney, who could shoot the ball, Knapp, one of the best shooters in the conference, and you got the big guys underneath that could be effective. And this is a team, whenever you press this way for 40 minutes, you're hiding some deficiencies. And when you think about Siena's team, maybe with the exception of Osinski, does Siena really have a low post player that's dominant inside? The answer is no. But Osinski's one of these guys that can score inside. So what does Paul Hewitt do? He applies pressure for 40 minutes, and that really avoids the issue that, hey, we don't have a big guy inside that could score, but we got guys that could shoot, we got guys that could press, and we got guys that could finish in the transition game. Hiding deficiencies is a sign of a great coach.
So far in this game, Siena has knocked down 7 3-pointers from 5 different guys.
A lot of weapons. What's the scouting report on that?
Right. Who do you pick? Who do you defend? Who do you overplay? When they're shooting and playing like this, it's hard to keep up. 45-17 Siena, 5:38 to go in the first half. First in the crossover, into a double team, no call. Lacey working hard inside and lays it in. Ken Lacey with 6 points. Dale Taylor on the blocks.
You know, we talk about hiding deficiencies. The other thing that does is a lot of teams really struggle executing a half-court offense. That's one of the things Paul Hewitt has really worked on the second half of the season. Let's be able to run a half-court offense in case our pressure doesn't work. There's another turnover. But what it does is it also forces you, hey, we don't have to play half-court offense. We're going into the transition game. We're going to shoot threes. We're going to push the ball up the floor.
As I was starting to mention before, Knapp's at the point. He got used to playing the point when Melvin Freeney, the senior co-captain, spent half the season on the bench and on the sidelines with a heart condition,
right,
which has been eradicated, and he is back to 100% health. But Knapp is back now to his more normal shooting guard for the most part, and you can see the range he's got on his 3.
This is just some performance by Siena. Outside, inside, defense.
Burston with a strong move. 4 points for Greg Burston.
Burston's been quiet.
Knapp, the leaner again. Traveling violation beforehand. Hutchinson and Finnefrock in for Ryder. Crawford and Wicks go out. Freeney will check in. Knapp will go out for Siena. Saints in their full court pressure, leading by 29 points. Now, Ryder's really had a tough time on the road this year, Glenn. 2-12 away from Lawrenceville. They've got the Bronx Zoo, and it's a great home court advantage, but they've just had bad fortune in a lot of cases, and games like this running into a buzzsaw. It'll be Ryder basketball.
Lacey's been quiet, not really an issue on the blocks. Hitting the offensive boards. It was a good bounce behind Cantor Mesa, and Cantor Mesa able to knock it clean.
Just over 4 minutes left in the first half.
You know, when Iona put an old-fashioned spanking onto Siena, they did a great job taking away their initial cuts, and as Siena tried to run their half-court offense, and they broke the pressure, and that was the difference.
Shot clock under 10. You see it in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Hutchinson with the offensive foul. Trying to force with the clock winding down. He turns it back over to the Saints. Time out on the floor. 3:46 to go in the first half. Siena 50, Ryder 21 on the MAAC Television Network.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. This success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world.
Back in Buffalo as we take a look at the summary of this season's Chase MAAC Rookies of the Week. And the most honored, Jermaine Clark of Fairfield. He was the Rookie of the Year as well. Dwayne Archibald, we're watching here tonight. We'll see Diary Wilson in the second half of our doubleheader as Iona will take on Marist in our final quarterfinal. Let's send it back over to Jack Armstrong.
Well, guys, I just stood behind Donnie Hartem's huddle, and, you know, this is a family show. I guess I can't really get into what he said. But let me just say that it's like if you have 12 holes in the dike and you only have 10 fingers to fill them, it's one of those situations where right now he's just trying to give his team some shock treatment and get them motivated and fired up, because right now they need to get back on track. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Jack. Did you understand that analogy?
I did.
You did?
Only I think the dam has been broken. I'm not too sure if any fingers are going to help it. I think you need super glue. You need anything. 15 turnovers so far has been the story for Ryder. And of those 15 turnovers, I got to believe that Siena has capitalized on at least 90% of those turnovers, and that's been the difference. Boy, they're on a pace of a 40 turnover game, and that's a lot of turnovers. The only one that's going to be happy with that is going to be Betty Crocker.
Yeah.
Paul Hewitt knows it.
Little cooking reference for you.
Oh, man.
Jonathan McClark at the line. Siena's gone over the double bonus. It's a two-shot foul. McClark with the first. Dieters in. Fields goes out. 3 minutes, 31 seconds left to go in the first half. The game was close for just a short while. 7-6, Siena had the lead, but then the Saints rattled off 15 straight points. And they have led comfortably since. Facing back into the game with a rebound. In case you missed it earlier today, St. Peter's with a mild upset of Canisius, 80-72. And the Peacocks in tomorrow's first men's semifinal will take on Niagara. The top seed in a thrilling game held off Loyola 78-77. Finnefrock for three. That's his first field goal. And the Bronx down now by 25. Just over 3 minutes to go. Archibald pulls up and hits. He's nailed 3 three-pointers and then knocks down the medium-range jumper. That's 11 points for the freshman out of New York City.
On the all-freshman All-MAAC team. Deservedly so. I like Archibald. He's got some tremendous upside. He's got great hops. He's got the long arms. Second coming of Marcus Faison.
Good hustle by Lacey to force the over and back violation. For a moment, he wasn't going to go after it and realized if he doesn't, Archibald's going to beat him to it and get a layup. But the turnover against Hutchinson got himself in the low post against a double team and didn't have anywhere to go. Knapp in, facing out. Been a relatively quiet game for Marcus. His only field goal, that bank shot from three.
But he's done a great job defensively, just causing a whole bunch of turnovers. He's got the long arms. We've seen games that Marcus Faison has played where it really looks like there's about 4 or 5 Marcus Faisons on the floor. He's all over the place defensively.
Canamesa gets the rebound. Another 35 seconds on the shot clock for Siena. Big block shot by Lacey. Underneath Osinski, and the foul on the entry pass against Greg Burston.
It's the Ryder foul on number 14, Greg Burston,
his second, and the 9th against Ryder. Everything's been going right for Paul Hewitt's club, and everything's been going wrong for Don Harnum's club. You saw him on the bench a moment ago doing the slow burn.
The thing that I like about Paul Hewitt, he's a great communicator. He really understands how to deliver messages in a subtle way to his team. It's kind of like the Velvet Commander. He's one of these guys that just does it with a soft touch, but they know who's the boss, and he's got a nice way with his kids. They really respect him, and boy, he's got him playing strong basketball right now.
Osinski knocks them both down. He's got 17. Well, Hewitt, when he came into Siena last year, took over a program that had hit rock bottom and turned him around to 17-12 last season. And here 22-5 this year. Three-pointer by Hutchinson. That's his first field goal. Just under 2 minutes to go in the first half. Dieters hits 56-28. Siena's highest point total was 107 against Quinnipiac earlier this year. And they're on pace to get near that. Hutchinson heating up. Back-to-back three-pointers for the freshman out of Trenton, New Jersey. Canamesa underneath, and offensive foul.
One thing's for sure is that Ryder will not quit. Got some battle-tested players on the floor with a lot of guts, guys like Finnefrock and Burston. And obviously there's still a whole second half for these guys to get back in this game, but they're going to have to do it, Doug, with defense. As easy as it has been for Siena to extend this lead, it could be as easy for Ryder to get back in this game, but they're going to have to learn how to attack the pressure and take care of the ball and get some stops.
Now Ryder got into this game, the quarterfinals, by winning the play-in game against Manhattan yesterday. Lacey missed, but the tip in by McClark. The Bronx had won 6 of 8 coming into this one. Isaiah Stewart back out to Knapp. The pull-up. Scott Knapp hits the three, and Siena calls a 20-second timeout. Everything's working for the Saints. Knapp up to 14 points. Scott Knapp, the 1998 MAAC Rookie of the Year and last year's Citizens Communications Long-Distance Shooter of the Year. Back to his more normal role of being able to work the perimeter and knock down the threes. Let's send it back to Jack.
Glenn, you were talking about how Paul Hewitt's got that velvet glove approach, but believe me, in his huddles, he is getting after his guys in emphatic fashion about getting after it on the defensive side of the ball, because he knows great defense equals good shot opportunities, and they're doing that tonight with their D. Back to you, fellas.
Well, that's how you have to coach when you play this way for 40 minutes, because you have to make sure that your team can maintain the intensity. It's not just keeping that intensity on for spurts or periods at a time. You got to maintain the intensity for 40 minutes, and that's a sign of a great team that plays this way.
And nobody on the Siena Ball Club averages more than 30 minutes per game. Most are about 25 a game, so they're fresh. In and out, in and out. Under a minute to play in the first half, 59-33. Hutchinson misfires.
So much of this style of play, Doug, reminds me of how we played in college for Rick Pitino. And I really believe, and I know Rick Pitino got a lot from UB Brown, but I really believe that Rick Pitino has been the innovator of this style of play with full court pressure, the 2-2-1 full court pressure, trying to wear teams down, coming down, forcing teams to stay at your pace offensively, and that's been the key.
You mentioned Hubie Brown. We're in Hubie Brown territory, sort of. Spent many years at Niagara, playing at coaching rather, at the Taft Gallagher Center, the newly remodeled Gallagher Center. Talked about Frank Layden during the Niagara game. What a coaching legacy they've had there, including Mr. Armstrong.
No question about it. But I really think UB Brown, so many coaches have learned so many different things from UB Brown. Half-court offense. And if you have a chance to listen to him as a commentator, I love it. I just think it's terrific. What he knows and what he's taught the rest of the coaching fraternity.
Well, you former players and coaches who come to the broadcast booth, you all say it. You got it made, and I can see why Hubie wouldn't want to be a coach anymore in the NBA with all the pressures as bodies pile up.
That's a good call.
As, Freeney and Wicks are having trouble, and now a technical is called, I believe, against Melvin Freeney.
And that's a good call by the official with the offensive goaltend by McClark. Ball was clearly in the cylinder of the rim as he tried to redunk it, but Freeney got a little heated. And Paul Hewitt's not happy about this because you don't want to change the momentum. And you also, what you don't want to do, here's the offensive goaltend right here. Watch from behind. McClark goes up, ball's on the rim. There's the goaltend.
And at this point, it was still just good, honest hustle where the guys got tangled up.
But what Paul Hewitt is concerned about is you don't want to fire up Ryder emotionally. You don't want to do anything to change the complexion emotionally of this game.
I think that's a good point.
But it was a double technical foul on that play. Freeney, I believe, and Lacey. Oh, Burston. Burston, Donnie Harnem's going, hey, we're down by 25. How can we pick up a tee?
59-33. Leroy Hendricks, veteran official of college basketball. Last shot, 5 motion, Paul Hewitt calls out.
You're going to see guys like Scott Knapp rubbing off of screens coming from the baseline, and they'll whittle down that clock. Shot clock right now is 29 seconds. And they'll take it right down. 5 seconds left to see him go to work.
Freeney will walk it up. In no hurry. Shot clock off. Knapp guarded by Finnefrock. Ryder in a man-to-man. Dwayne Archibald in the game. 5 seconds.
Confidence-wise, Ryder really needs to stop here. That's
and
good
that
defense.
Is what they got.
It's good defense.
Well, the first half was all Siena. Don Harnum heads to the locker room. And what I'm sure will be an interesting conversation, to say the least. His Broncs are trailing 59-33. A 15-0 run early for the Saints is what opened it up. We'll take a break. We're at the half. Siena 59, Ryder 33 on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Mazda, get in, be moved. By the Pepsi-Cola Company. Bob Stores, great buys on brands you wear. Budget Car and Truck Rentals, get out of the ordinary with budget. And by the New York Lottery Games. Hey, you never know. Back in Buffalo, you were just taking a look at the Niagara Mohawk building here in the Queen City. And here in the Queen City this weekend, the MAAC basketball tournament, both the men and the women. You saw the score. It's been all Siena so far through the first 20 minutes in their quarterfinal game against the Ryder Broncs. And who would have predicted it? I mean, Ryder looked like, and many teams, many coaches predicted the Broncs to be kind of the dark horse as the lower seed to get it going, and they had been playing well coming in. Siena and Ryder had played 2 relatively close games during the regular season, and boom, just like that, the Saints come out big.
Well, Siena's pressure has been the whole storyline to this game. Siena's did a great job of changing guys and changing their defenses in the way of front court pressure. What they're doing is they're putting guards up front, then they're putting forwards up front in their 2-2-1 full court press. It's causing a lot of problems for the guards for Ryder to get up the floor and be proactive. And that's really slowed down Ryder, and all of a sudden it became a 20-point lead.
Right.
They're turning the ball over. Siena's capitalizing against that pressure, and that's been the storyline for this game.
A lot of points. Corey Osinski leads the way right now with 17 points. At this point, we'd like to send it back over to Jack Armstrong.
Well, if I were at halftime right now, if I were Donnie Harnum, I mentioned earlier that his huddle wasn't a family show. I know my halftime wouldn't be a family show either. A lot of nice things wouldn't be coming out of my mouth. But I'll tell you right now, they got to try to come back in this game, playing 4-minute intervals, get back on track offensively, handle the pressure, and maintain some poise. And with about 5-6 minutes left in the game, if you can have it down to 9 or 10 points, make your run right there. But you got to get back into it in 4-minute intervals. Back to you, fellas.
All right, thank you, Jack. That's a good point, and I like Glenn's point from earlier. You don't want to fire up Ryder if you're Siena. Just ride the wave in the second half. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this.
Distinguish yourself at Manhattan College, ranked among the top Northeastern colleges and universities by U.S. News and World Report. Join our caring campus community in Riverdale, New York, where the student-to-professor ratio is 15-1. Be part of an impressive group of Manhattan College alumni, ranked 3rd in the nation in corporate leadership. Whether your goal is business, arts, education, engineering, or science, we'll help you show the world what makes you unique. Call 1-800-MC2-EXCEL.
Back in Buffalo, Siena 59, Ryder 33 at the half of our 3rd of 4 MAAC men's quarterfinal basketball games. Well, Ryder center Kevin McPeak, who's an education major, has been student teaching at a local elementary school. The following feature is an inside look at Kevin interacting with his 2nd grade students.
In December, I just graduated from the undergraduate program at Ryder. I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in elementary education and American Studies, and have just recently enrolled in the graduate program in education administration. And so hopefully one day I become a school principal.
Looks like I've made a basement, said the dragon. So what do you do?
Kevin connects with kids right away. And from the day he walked in until the day he left, he made that connection, which was a wonderful thing to see. Primary teachers do a lot of things, including tying shoelaces and helping with runny noses when they happen. That's all part of being a primary teacher, and Kevin just fit in and did it very naturally, as if he had been doing those things all his life.
Mr. McPeak is really nice because he helps me with reading and writing. It seems like you can never get in trouble with Mr. McPeak.
I didn't know what I wanted to do when I first went into college, and then I figured I'd take a couple of courses in education to see if I'd like it. And right away at Rider, they put you in the field, and once I started working with kids, I really felt comfortable around them. I got the feeling that they felt comfortable around me, and I could really see myself doing this as a career. I
go to Mr. McPeak's basketball games, and they're really fun to watch. He is completely enormous.
Many of the children have been going with their families to see Kevin play. Sometimes we'll have, 8 or 10 children there. And the first time we went, a family organized making signs, and we had huge banners that said, go Mr. McPeak. If you had to compare teaching, actually first grade, which is what this class was last year, and playing Division I basketball, there's probably a lot of similarities. The rewards are a lot the same. When you win a game, when you teach a kid to understand reading or math, you leave that day feeling like you really have accomplished something.
Good luck, Mr. McPeak!
Mr. McPeak with 6 points so far for the Rider Broncs in the first half, but it's been all Siena. When we come back, we'll take a look at the first half highlights, and they're all Siena, 59-33 on the MAAC Television Network.
Marist is a small liberal arts college with a national reputation for excellence in teaching. State-of-the-art technology at Marist helps students prepare for graduate school or business. Marist received the Cause Award as one of the top 4 colleges in the use of technology in and out of the classroom, along with Cornell, Stanford, and Duquesne universities. Marist's 150-acre riverfront campus is in the heart of the historic Hudson River Valley, 75 miles from New York City. To find out more about Marist, call 1-800-436-5483.
Back in Buffalo, Siena 59, Rider 33 at the half of our MAAC quarterfinal action. Doug Sherman along with Glenn Consor back with you. And the Saints had it going pretty much right from the beginning. They opened up a 7-6 lead to 15-point run, and then the Saints just opened it up. It was transition as we take a look at our first half highlights. Melvin Freeney to Corey Osinski, kind of like a broken record.
Well, we did our best to try to find some Rider highlights, but there really wasn't any. So this is going to be a whole Siena highlight show here. Osinski in transition. The storyline of this game, off the steal, moving without the ball, able to finish. And then Dwayne Archibald, one of these guys that could make the outside shot off the screen up top, one of the many weapons from Siena. Osinski, though, can make outside shots, but his ability to get to open spots has really made him a complete player this year. But Scott Knapp, so dangerous from 20, could just beat you down.
Knapp has 14, Archibald 11, Osinski 17, and we take a look at our first half statistics brought to you by Citizens Communications, and 53% on three-pointers for the Saints, 17 turnovers committed by Rider. Those are two very telling stats.
Well, the arrows tell the story. 17 turnovers by Rider off of 8 steals in the way of Siena, doing a great job. And those steals came in the backcourt, so they were able to pick the ball up, get some easy baskets. Siena's just doing a great job defensively.
Okay, when we come back, we'll have the start of the second half between the Broncs and the Saints. Siena on top big at the half on the MAAC Television Network. Corey Osinski 17, Knapp 14, Archibald 11. And Lacey, the man with the basketball for the Rider Bronx, with 7 to lead the lower seeded team. And a quick turnover. They had 17 in the first half, Glenn, and now it's 18.
Well, here's the amazing thing about the leading scorers of Siena. You think about the guys who could score points. Faison, Cantamesa, between the two, 3 points, 4 points. Shows the versatility of the Siena team. And Freeney hasn't scored.
This is Freeney with the basketball. The Saints have the same starting unit here in the second half, as do the Bronx. Finnefrock saves right to Cantamesa. Greg Burston pulls away the rebound. 45 seconds gone here in the second half. 59-33 Siena.
And you know one of the things that Donnie Harnum talked to his team about at halftime is, look, guys, we got 20 minutes here. You seniors, Burston, Finnefrock, McPeak, this is the last hurrah right here. You guys are going to have to do it yourselves. Take it upon yourselves. Great save by Finnefrock. And that just epitomizes his career here at Rider, on the floor, going after loose balls. But, hey, last 20 minutes, guys, you got to lead us back into this game. This might be the end of your college career. You don't want to go out like this.
Right. Got to leave it on the floor. Here's Burston, one of those seniors, knocking down the three. Well, you mentioned when Siena was in the early run that Rider would never give up and they wouldn't go away, and you get that sense they've come out of the locker room ready to make a run. Burston with only 7 points. He was the 6th leading scorer in the conference this year. Finnefrock guarding Freeney. Cantamesa. He'll go to the line for 2. McPeak coming over to help out, picks up the personal.
Cantamesa is not going to beat you with his quickness, but he's very crafty. He knows how to go by you. Does it really like in slow motion, though. Little pump fake. He goes by the defense, able to draw contact on McPeak as he tried to swing around him with his arms. That's a nice play by Jim.
But you've got to respect the three-point shooting ability on the up fake because he led the nation in three-point percentage last year.
He's really struggled with a lot of nagging injuries this year. I had a chance to talk to Paul Hewitt about that, and Paul Hewitt seems to think that he's got the oldest body. Might not be the oldest age-wise, but he's got the oldest body in the MAAC conference. Just a lot of like little nagging injuries, little shoulder stuff, little muscle pulls here and there. It sounds like me after my Monday night hoop games.
Well, he kind of plays the game like a guy in an over 40 league, you know? Very solid, fundamental, hit the jump shot, plays on the floor.
Right.
Burston with a nice move to get into the paint. Burston with 5 quick points here in the second half.
Burston just went around him like he was a 40-year-old. That time he just couldn't move.
9 for Burston in the game. He takes over team high honors.
But Cantamesa, to me, is one of the most valuable players in this league because of what he can do. 6'8", he could stick to 3, causes a lot of matchup problems. He's an excellent passer. As the ball is swung around the perimeter, Faison's one of these guys that really knows what to do with it, but R.J. Wicks thought he had him tied up, was looking for the jump ball. That call for the bump.
Here's Faison, lost it. Brandon Fields, quick inside Osinski, and he was kneed out by Lacey. That's what Osinski says, but an official says travel. And Osinski and Lacey talking it over. Wicks goes out. And Hutchinson has come into the game for the Bronx. Tried to go long to Hutchinson, and it was over his head, out of bounds, untouched. So it should come back to the other baseline. And it'll be Siena ball.
Donnie Harnum, you know, mentioned to his team, throw it over the top, but you got to have a little better communication with that. You can't throw that long pass. I think they got to play it safe and conservative right now. Try to get it into the guards, let them push it up.
Facing the deep 3. Finnefrock the rebound. Just over 2 minutes gone here in the second half from the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo. This game will be followed by, as Burston's called for the charge, Iona against Marist, our 4th and final quarterfinal. As we take another look at Burston picking up his 3rd.
Great rotation defensively by Siena as Cantamesa steps in to help. And that's what Siena's been getting this game. Some good help from the frontline folks. Guys like Fields and Cantamesa have done a nice job attacking the guards off the penetration.
Finnefrock gets to the center of the court. Hutchinson, after a nice up fake, buries the 15-footer.
Nice job by Hutchinson, but I really thought he was that close to the three-point line. Do the pump fake, but take the step back, get the 3.
It's down to a 20-point Siena lead, 60-40. Faison from the baseline. He's clearly not feeling it from the offensive end tonight. And the Bronx trying to make a run. Finnefrock for three. Fields the rebound. Freeney shot blocked by McClark. Wide open Hutchinson, lost it on the way up. Just slipped out of his fingertips.
Casper the Ghost got him from behind. Just totally lost that ball.
Freeney missed the lay. Fields the tap, no. And a jump ball. Fields, McClark, Lacey, Faison. All four got on the floor. It's a jump ball, and on the alternate possession, it'll be Siena basketball. Knapp, Dieters, and Archibald come back in. Porter comes in for Ryder. McClark goes out. Faison and Fields hit the bench, as do Freeney. So the three Fs, Faison, Fields, and Freeney, out of the game for the Saints. 16:35 to go in the second. Siena by 20. Knapp underneath, goes to Osinski. The reverse layup is good, and Lacey was called for the foul.
See, Osinski really understands how to use his body and how to use the rim as a shield as he goes to the basket. Watch how he goes up. He could have went up on the left side of the floor, decided to go up on the right side, feeling that he could draw the contact. That's exactly what he did. Lacey got him on the bump, and he goes to the line with a potential 3 versus 2. It's good basketball.
6'7" junior who's got 19 points so far tonight, averaging 14.2 a game coming in. Second on the team just behind Faison, but actually he's overtaken Marcus, who's had a slow game with only 3 points. So Osinski is back to being the leading scorer for the Saints. And Osinski got second team All-League. Faison got first team All-League, and it could have gone either way.
Oh, no question about it. I think it was nip and tuck in that race. The coaches that I've talked to during the course of my preparation for the tournament, a lot of guys said, hey, I voted for Osinski first team. So you know how close that was. But I think Faison really had a complete year and has really blossomed and has taken his game to the next level.
James Clinton into the game for the first time. Freshman from New Jersey picks up the rebound. This is Clinton with the basketball. 4 minutes gone here in the second. 63-40 Siena. Dieters inside Osinski. Had Burston on his hip. And it's as easy as that. Osinski up to 22 points.
See, with Dieters in the game at 6'11", 7 feet. You got Clinton in the game at about 6'9". Osinski's about 6'7". Archibald's 6'5". They really caused some matchup problems in the low post game for Ryder.
Mario Porter gets his first 2 points.
Because right now you have Burston defending Osinski, and he's just posting him up.
Finnefrock, the big finger roll, and it goes in.
I like that.
He released that ball at about 4 feet off the floor.
Just toss it up there and hope it spins in.
Looked like an arcade game. 65-44. Osinski driving to the basket. Clinton after it. Porter after it. Clinton was the last to touch. It'll be Ryder basketball. The Bronx will have it when we return to the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo with a timeout on the floor. 65-44 Siena on the MAAC Television Network. Back in Buffalo, and fans, the inaugural MAAC Hockey League Championship hits the ice March 19th and 20th at Holy Cross's Hart Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. All session passes are affordably priced at $10. For information, call 508-793-2573. We are here in an NHL building, the home of the Buffalo Sabres, the Marine Midland Arena. But it's basketball this weekend, the MAAC tournament, as we take another look at Mario Porter trying to pick things up for the Bronx.
Yeah, Porter was really instilled in this game for his offense, but he picks up the steal, and look how Finnefrock just gets it up over the defense. When you're that side, you just got to throw it up early and hope no one gets it.
Fields connects from the low post. 67-44, Siena leads Ryder. 15-10 to go in the second. Freeney the steal. Faison gets hammered by Finnefrock. And actually, Finnefrock grabbed a handful of the jersey, trying to call the or get the intentional. Wound up having to hack him again. And it turns out just to be a two-shot foul.
So there you see the long arms of Freeney and Faison, and that's been the problem for Finnefrock. Really, that play epitomizes what's been happening all game. Playing the passing lane, Faison gets in, and Finnefrock just trying to prevent the capitalization off the turnover.
Get this, the Bronx have shot 5 of 7 from the floor in the second half. Siena only 2 for 10. And Faison continues to struggle putting the ball through the hoop. Again, this Siena ball club, the best free throw shooting team in the country at 80%. So Faison at 73% is below the team average. And that doesn't happen very often at 73.
And you wonder why this team is such a good free throw shooting team. They shoot over 50 free throws. Each player does every day, 6 days a week. Every time they step on the floor, they're shooting those free throws when they're tired, before practice, after practice.
Lacey, good position inside, gets the lay. 67-46, 14:35 to go in the second half. Scott Knapp traveled, took one too many steps, and we send it over to Jack.
Guys, at halftime, I was in the hallway talking to Marist coach Dave McGarity and Iona coach Jeff Ruland. And the next game, fellas, it's like a matchup of two heavyweights, like Larry Holmes and George Foreman. Those fellas said, forget the game. Let's go one-on-one at full court here. These two big fellas. So no love lost between these two guys.
Jack, I hope you weren't trying to pick a fight with either one of those two guys.
Not me.
The pressure continuing to wear down Ryder as another turnover occurs.
During halftime, GMAC, the GM College Grad Program, and your local Pontiac dealers are proud to sponsor the GMAC Shootout. Grads, now is the time to reward yourself. See your participating GM dealer for details or visit their website at gmgrad.com. Canamesa just gave a big shove to Jonathan McClark. And everybody comes rushing in, and let's hope this doesn't escalate. It's been a very physical game right from the beginning. And clearly Canamesa was in the wrong, at least at this point. You see the big shoulder shot.
Yeah, Canamesa not known for his foot speed there. McClark tried to beat him with a foot race, and Canamesa a little roller derby hip check on that play.
Kind of out of character. You'd like to think that there was something that preceded that, but Canamesa.
How about the job Leroy Hendricks did getting in between those two big fellas?
And McClark.
That's a flagrant technical right there as McClark goes to the line to shoot him.
Flagrant foul against Canamesa, his third. And McClark will get 2 foul shots. Good restraint by McClark. He got up wanting to go after Canamesa, but maybe with the help of some of his friends and some of the officials, he stayed back.
That's something that you really have to stay cool about.
And it'll be Ryder basketball. Dave Dieters comes in. And Jim Canamesa goes out. Mario Porter to inbound on the sideline. Knapp denying Finnefrock. Wicks comes over to help out. Lacey and McClark underneath. Dieters for Siena out there with Faison, Fields, Osinski, and Knapp. Whistle off the ball. And now I get the sense maybe the officials are going to try and get control of this thing.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be real careful to make sure nothing breaks out between the big guys. It's really been the big boys underneath, guys like McClark and Canamesa, Fields. Dieters he's just out there playing steady basketball, just does what he can. What I like about Dieters, you don't see that much or hear much about him in the scheme of things with Siena, but he plays within his limitations.
Dieters out. Dwayne Archibald in. Dale Taylor is in. Nice move by Jonathan McClark to get up over the defense.
How about Ryder knocking it down to 18 right now?
And the fans who took the ride in from New Jersey up here to Buffalo are starting to make some noise. They haven't had much to yell about. It's a long trip to come to see your team fall behind big in the first half. Another whistle off the ball. Finnefrock and Fields were banging. And again, Finnefrock at 5'9". He's going to be on the short end of the low post. against Brandon Fields, who's 6'5". Fans, to find out more about MAAC basketball, you can go online and check out the conference website. It's at www.maac.org. It's updated regularly and provides current information about your favorite MAAC teams and players. And while surfing the net, go to MazdaUSA.com to find out all the latest on Mazda cars and trucks. 13:40 left to go in the second half. Doug Sherman, Glenn Consor, and Jack Armstrong in Buffalo, 67-49. Another whistle off the ball. The officials have called 3 or 4 of those in the last couple of minutes since the Canamesa shoulder shot to McClark. Archbold picks up his first and the 5th against Siena here in the second half. Riders committed 18 fouls here in the second. Burston's back into the game. Quarters pass inside. Was it touched? Untouched. Nobody touched it, so it's Siena basketball.
And McPeak had the defense on his back, was wide open. They just couldn't get it to him. Not a good angle for that pass.
Leading scorer in the game, Corey Osinski. He's on the bench with 22 points after hitting 8 of 9 field goal attempts. Scott Knapp. Freeney swings to Archibald. Shot clock to 15. Whistle on the perimeter on the drive to the basket. Hutchinson picks up the personal. And it'll be a 1-and-1. You see Archibald has the foot speed advantage on Hutchinson. Winds up reaching.
Get it. Yep, just they're a little bit too late. Hutchinson's going to have to work on that foot speed. Lateral foot speed, so important in playing defense. A lot of guys are quick up and down, but if you don't have that lateral foot speed, you're going to struggle defensively.
Archibald, who was a big offensive spark plug in the first half coming off the bench, hits the free throw. He hit 3 of 4 3-point attempts in that first half. His career high is 15 points, and he's got a dozen right now out of Robeson High School in Brooklyn. 13 points now for Archibald. Siena back up by 20. 7 minutes gone here in the second. Finnefrock, short, gets it back. Tries the turnaround and missed it long. Freeney up ahead, Taylor. And Dale Taylor slam dunks it. Dale Taylor with his first points of the ball game. McPeak has the ball bounce off his hands out of bounds.
See, they just make you rush. They make you make passes you don't want to make. And just when you think that you're open, because of the pressure, you end up throwing the ball away. And right now, Ryder is falling right into the game plan in the hands of the Siena Saints.
Isaiah Stewart has replaced Scott Knapp in the Siena lineup.
See, I really feel that if Ryder's going to make a run here, they got to do it now with 12 minutes to go, and they're going to have to do it defensively, apply some full court pressure, get some opportunities back, get some possessions back. You can't just trade baskets now. You're in too deep.
Shot clock you see winding down. Archibald, he loves that shot from that spot, top of the key. 12 minutes to go in regulation, 74-49. Archibald now with a new career high. That's 16 points for the freshman guard on the All-MAAC rookie team. McClark with a strong move, and he was cuffed aside the head by Dale Taylor. And so McPeak, boy, the shots to the head. When Lacey was in there earlier, he was getting banged around. And it's just been that kind of year for Ryder. All the concussions, and even though they say that they're healthy and they're back to normal, concussions, as we see with the quarterbacks in the NFL, they just don't go away that quickly.
Right.
And the residual effects never really go away.
You got the cobweb effect, it seems like, even when you think you're healthy. But, you know, Doug, we talked about how Siena's style of play hides deficiencies. Well, it also can take away a strength of an opposing team. And when you think about the personnel between these two teams, who's got the better low post players? It's Ryder. It's McPeak and Lacey that can really post you up. But because of the tempo and the style of play of this game, the low post abilities of McClark, McPeak, and Lacey are ineffective.
They don't let you get into that half-court offense. McPeak hits 1 out of 2 from the foul line, and we've got a timeout. 74-50 our score. Siena leading Ryder. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. Back at the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo, and GMAC salutes Drew Coleman of the GMAC Pontiac Dealer of the Game. He's the dealer of the game. Coleman Buick Pontiac GMC is the place to find great deals on a variety of Pontiac vehicles. Qualified customers can finance or smart lease with GMAC. Coleman is located at 1060 Spruce Street in Trenton, New Jersey. If you can't stop by, give them a call at 609-695-5425, or for more information on the other great GM offers, call GMAC at 1-800-32-SMART.
Well, one of the things that Siena has done so nicely is vertical passing up and down the floor. Taylor did a nice job of getting down, becoming a target, and Freeney, even though he hasn't scored, he's done a nice job running the show.
Canamesa back into the game. The inbound to Freeney. Out there with Osinski, Stewart, and Faison. Once again, Freeney and Finnefrock elbowing each other all the way up the court, and Finnefrock gets whistled for the foul. They've been going at it all game long.
Well, Finnefrock is not one of these guys that's going to back down. He's a physical player. He's not overly athletic, but he plays hard, and he's compact.
Let's send it back over to Jack.
Fellas, I was just in Siena's huddle, and Paul, you had talked a lot about the fact that when they get defensive rebounds, make sure you push and get out in the break. They're settling too much for their half-court offense. Though he's happy with the half-court offense, wants a lot more of a transition game, and they definitely can't settle for that because it plays to the strength of the Ryder Bronx. Back to you, fellas.
Thank you, Jack. And Melvin Freeney just got his first point of the ball game in his first 2. Senior from Gainesville, Florida. 76-50. The lead had been trimmed to 18, but Siena back up by 26. Underneath McPeak, and a foul on Osinski.
So I got to believe Ryder at some point is going to apply some full court pressure. You know, there's an old expression in the game that teams that press don't like to be pressed. And I really believe that Ryder's going to have to turn it around a little bit, get some pressure on the guards, press Freeney a little bit, try to get him to turn it over, try to get back in this game.
Saw Kevin McPeak at halftime as Mr. McPeak, wearing one of his other hats, education major, as a student teacher. He has 9 points. He and Greg Burston share team high honors for the Bronx. Osinski, who's hit 8 of 9 from the floor with the ball. Isaiah Stewart slashes to the basket, stripped away by Finnefrock, and a foul against Stewart. 11:17 to go in the second. 76-52.
You know, you can think about Finnefrock's game, and clearly he has some deficiencies in his game, but in the way of leaving it all on the floor, playing intense basketball for 40 minutes, I'm not too sure if there's anyone in this league that plays as hard as Kevin Finnefrock. I love the way he plays.
Senior from Massillon, Ohio, with 7 points. Osinski's outlet stolen by McClark. Finnefrock misses the 3. Burston tips. Osinski pulls it away. Here comes Marcus Faison. To Freeney. Canamesa from the corner. McClark strong for the rebound. Bronx trying to run back the other way. Burston, nice bounce pass. Lacey, the catch and the flush.
There you go. Do unto others as they do unto you. Great transition. Nice passing that time by Ryder, going from one side of the floor to the other as Lacey runs the floor well. Beat Canamesa down.
.38 to go in the second. 76-54 Siena. Stay tuned. We'll have the Marist-Iona game coming up right after this one. The 4th of the 4 quarterfinals. Osinski, count the basket, and a foul on McClark. The presence of mind of Osinski to gather himself, put it up, and it went in.
Osinski continues to move without the ball, and no one on Ryder's team is beating him to spots, and that's why he's been so effective. Great pump fake. See, he's one of these guys that just has a great feel for the defense.
And with a free throw, he can tie his career high of 25 points. Stuck on 24. McClark lost it on the way up. Did anybody touch it? Apparently so. Brandon Fields is called for touching it last. It'll be Rider ball in the corner. The Bronx call a timeout, a full timeout, with 10 minutes and 17 seconds left on the clock here in the second half. We'll step away from the Marine Midland Arena. We're in Buffalo, New York. Siena leading 78-54. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. Fans, be part of the 2000 NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship as the MAAC, Canisius College, and Niagara University host the East Region first and second round games here at the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo next year on March 17th and 19th. For ticket application information, call 716-819-NCAA. Well, the Rider Bronx made it to this quarterfinal game by beating the Manhattan Jaspers in yesterday's play-in game. And word is from a reliable source that the Jaspers will have a new head coach when next season comes around. John Leonard expected to tender his resignation by the end of the weekend.
And it just shows how fragile this coaching business is. And right now, Doug, with 10 minutes to go, Rider down 24. They got a long way to go, and they're going to have to do it with defense. Apply some of the helter-skelter defense that Siena has applied on them.
Lacey with 11. Siena 78, Rider 56, just over the midway point.
There's that full court pressure, the three-quarter court, getting them to speed it up a little bit, try to get some deflections.
Fields after the offensive board, but McClark has been real strong on the boards here in the second half.
Now, did you see how Siena rushed that shot? That's because of the defense. There's another turnover. Boy, Archibald and Faison really know how to play those passing lanes.
You hear the applause from the fans who came across the state on the thruway. From Albany to Buffalo, Archibald has had the hot hand for the outside. Several busloads of Siena fans made the trip west. Burston for three. That's a dozen for Burston. Meanwhile, I should mention that Archibald's up to 19 points. Again, a new career high.
Just so many weapons off the bench and so many guys that really understand and they're comfortable playing with that pressure. They enjoy it.
22nd timeout called by Paul Hewitt of the Saints as we take another look at Dwayne Archibald, who had 3 3-pointers in the first half and knocks down another one here just moments ago.
Look how wide open Archibald is as Burston got there way too late. And he just nails it, shooting with great rhythm in his game. And Dwayne Archibald, there's no I in that name. It's just Archibald, not Archibald like Nate. Out of Paul Robeson High School in New York.
Jack Armstrong, what have you got for us, sir?
Well, you know, Paul Hewitt substitutes so frequently. You know, you have a 3-day tournament here, but fatigue should not be a big factor to them tomorrow or even on Monday if they get there, because of the fact he uses such a major amount of his players, keeps everybody fresh. I think that's going to be a major factor for him coming into tomorrow's game.
Jack, I think the most fatigued person perhaps in the building would be the Jumbotron operator, keeping up with all the substitutions.
And that's a good point Jack's making, because when you look at the minutes after this game of each player, those minutes are spread out nicely. You get guys like Scott Knapp, who's going to be fresh, maybe played 18, 20 minutes, even though it looks like he's playing more. But this platoon system, Paul Hewitt's just sharing the wealth.
You mentioned Knapp. He only played 11 minutes in the first half and had 11 points.
Faison really hasn't had that many minutes as well. Canna Mesa, Fields.
And I'd have to say this is the poorest offensive night for Faison on the year. That last shot he took, basically an air ball, and has really struggled. Here he is ahead of the pack, though, and he finally knocks in a good-looking shot. The only field goal he had before that was the banked three-pointer early on. Faison, the leading scorer for the Saints during the regular season at nearly 15 a game, now has 5. Canna Mesa denies and steals, gives to Knapp. 8 minutes to go. Faison smashed in the face by Lacey. And he'll go to the line to shoot 2.
Hewitt's doing a nice job now of changing the full court pressure. See, what Siena does is they play a 2-2 2-1 full court press. Then he changed it to a 2-1-2 and had Scott Knapp in the middle of the floor. Cantor Mesa did a great job from behind. And one of the things that playing this kind of pressure does is it also hides the deficiency of a lack of quickness. Cantor Mesa, not the quickest guy, but he knows how to play this defense. He knows how to read passes, and he stepped in and got the steal. He's not going to get steals off of his speed. He's going to get steals off of his intelligence.
Fields goes out, Dieter's in. And I haven't made this point this year, I don't think. I've talked about it before, that Scott Knapp on that pass to Faison, now that Faison has hit a free throw, I think should get an assist. His pass led to points. I've said it. I'm done.
It's the old Gretzky. Is that right? Is it the Gretzky? The pass that is thrown to the guy who makes the assist?
That's right. The hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey assist. Well, we're, again, Finifrock and Faison tangle up a little bit. We're in a hockey arena. This the home of the Buffalo Sabres. Brand new, beautiful, immaculate arena.
Beautiful arena here, absolutely.
Right next door to the old Memorial Auditorium that was the home to the Sabres and the old NBA Buffalo Braves. Bob McAdoo and the whole crew.
Ernie D.
Ernie D.
Getting drafted out of Providence as a rookie.
If Jack's listening, I'm not as young as he thinks I am. I don't think they have his microphone open, but I remember
Jack
Ernie
just
D and
thinks
those guys.
you look young.
Jack and I are almost the same age. I'm 32. What are you, Jack, 34?
I'm 36.
36.
But I look 50 from all those wonderful years on the sidelines.
Indeed. It is, as you can attest
Jack,
to now as an announcer in the NBA with the Toronto Raptors, this is much easier than being a coach.
Yeah, but it's not how you look, it's how you feel. Do you feel 55? That's what I want to know.
Here's Dieters with a jump hook. Dave Dieters has 6 points. 7.5 to go in the second. Siena by 25. And the pressure continues in the front court. Again, this game was tight for just a short while. Siena had a 7-6 lead and then rattled off 15 straight points. And since that time, it's been all Siena. Faison called for the foul. Hutchinson will go to the line. Fourth foul on Faison. As we take another look, he thought it was clean. The official thought otherwise, and Hutchinson gets 2.
Faison's got the quick hands. He blocks a lot of shots, picks up a lot of loose balls. Boy, Siena's had a nice year. You think about some of the wins, knocking off St. Bonaventure in the Atlantic 10, doing a number on George Washington University, a team that might be bound for the NCAAs. Eastern Michigan, Pepperdine, 9-0 in the non-conference schedule. Tremendous job by Paul Hewitt and the Siena Saints.
A lot of firsts this year in school history for Siena. That's one of them. The 18-2 record to start the year, which is in large part due to the non-conference success. Also a all-time school best. Siena 86, Rider 63. The Saints led at the intermission 59-33. And even though the Bronx did briefly pull under 20, they pulled within 18 points. The Saints have barely been confronted at all here in the ball game. Under 7 minutes on the clock. Dieters at the high post, slapped by Hutchinson, and Dieters will go to the line.
Paul Hewitt's got these guys playing like a well-oiled machine. Ryder goes to the 3-2 zone, and they put Dieters on the elbow of that, right in the gap of the zone, and all they do is toss it right inside to Dieters. Now he's stepping right into the gap. That's 7 feet going up against guards. That's why Siena's so tough, because you got a guy like that's a weapon on the elbow that you could put right dead smack into the heart of the zone. Tough to stop.
Dieters also at the line, 83% as you see. He's been a starter each of the last 2 years. As a freshman, he barely got off the bench. But another one of those guys that progressed between his freshman and sophomore seasons, and he's started and turned into a role player, valuable role player for the Saints. He has 7 points, 87-63. Wicks. Finifrock hustles down the offensive rebound. Hutchinson. Tipped in by Lacey.
Well, they're still working, Doug. They haven't tossed the towel in yet. They're still hitting the boards, and Finifrock still hustling. Burston still hustling. R.J. Wicks.
Scott Knapp for 3.
You don't think that was a quick release, do you? He just caught it didn't even seem like he looked at the rim.
His first field goal of the second half. I'd said earlier he had 11 at the break. He had 14 at the break. And now he's got 17 and a timeout called by Ryder. Well, let's take a look at the Citizens Communications long-distance shooter standings. And these are the final regular season totals. Jermaine Clark wins it. The freshman for the Stags of Fairfield, followed closely by the hard-charging Alvin Young. I think if the season had gone another week, Young would have caught him at the rate he was going. Scott Knapp, Jason Rowe, Kevin Worley also in the top 5. As we take a look at the Siena huddle with Paul Hewitt and Don Harnum, from the expression on his face, you certainly can tell the way the game has gone here. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC, once again the proud sponsor of that MAAC Long-Distance Shooter of the Year. Doug Sherman, Glenn Consor, Jack Armstrong, and a host of others here for our day-long marathon at the Marine Midland Arena. MAAC basketball tournament action. We've had 2 women's semifinal games. St. Peter's won, Siena won, so tomorrow night the Peahens will take on the Saints for the automatic bid into the NCAA. And then tomorrow afternoon we'll have the men's semifinals right here on the MAAC Television Network.
Ryder trying to punish Siena by punching it down low, but look at the weak side defense. So active inside. Archibald came from the left side of the floor to help out. Picks up the foul, but it's a good play. It's a good hustle play. Paul Hewitt doesn't mind that, as long as he sees that defense rotating.
Fields in. Canamesa out.
Lacey having a strong statistical game. He's been an active player for this Ryder team. Very good defensive player as well. And we'll see later on if he made my all defensive team later.
How about Dwayne Archibald? He's going to start to get his mail here at the Marine Midland Arena. He feels so at home here. He just keeps knocking down the threes. That is 22 points for the freshman out of Brooklyn. Came in averaging 6.7 a game. Lacey couldn't haul in the pass. Siena with it.
You think about this Siena team, Doug, as you see Scott Knapp go in, and boy, guys, there's bodies flying. Osinski and Lacey, they've been banging each other all game. But when you think about this Siena team, guys like Osinski, a junior, Paul Hewitt's got a lot of guys coming back next year. You're going to see a lot of faces, very familiar faces, maybe with the exception of Brandon Fields getting a lot of minutes, and Cantamesa, who actually Cantamesa's a junior.
Right, it's Faison and or Freeney and Fields.
Fields, that's right. Freeney and Fields. I keep confusing Freeney with Cantamesa, but Freeney, losing Freeney, you still have Scott Knapp with the point guard skills.
And they have a freshman coming in, a 6'7" incoming freshman who's a point guard from Canada, Prosper Karangwa, who's expected to help slide in and take some of the minutes, but you've got Archibald as well to be able to play the point.
Right, Isaiah Stewart, who's been banged up a little bit, playing with a hip pointer. He's a sophomore. Scott Knapp is a sophomore. Faison's back, he's a junior. Archibald, only a freshman. James Clinton, a freshman. Canamesa's back. Seems like Canamesa's been here for about 10 years. So
well, we already established he's 40 years old, right?
Yeah. Well, some of these guys are. You never know. All I know is that Darren Fenn is a sophomore. He's only 19.
Right.
He's a young one.
Right. Canisius center.
Two ends of the extreme.
Double dribble on Mr. Finnefrock, and let's go back across the court to Jack.
Well, guys, the reason why I'm sitting so close to Paul Hewitt is I'm going to get out of the broadcasting business and get into the agent business. I wouldn't mind having this guy in the contract because he's going to do very well for himself this offseason, or even if he hangs around at Siena after next season. This guy is an up-and-comer. Back to you, fellas.
Absolutely. His name gets thrown around on national TV on a regular basis. Anytime there's a major opening, it seems like one of the announcers throws Paul Hewitt's name out there. He's only been a head coach in Division I for 2 years. You know what? His previous head coaching experience before this job was as a junior varsity coach. So he's got 2 years of varsity experience and was close to getting the St. John's job last year. He is a hot commodity.
Well, he certainly is, and he's excited about Siena. He's excited about staying at Siena as well. Obviously, you know, a guy like Paul Hewitt that is bringing so much attention on himself, but guys that do that, and here's the misconception, you think of coaches that look to move up. I think Paul Hewitt's one of these guys that's bringing attention to himself because of how he coaches and how he deals with his players.
And he continues to say he does not seek any job interviews or job openings, but he listens to all offers. Burst in the pull-up. Around the rim and out. Finnefrock still diving on the floor. That must be at least the 10th time he's hit the deck today. Talk about, and you mentioned at halftime, for the Ryder seniors potentially playing their last game, you got to leave it all on the floor. Well, I think the Ryder guys can say that.
I think so, too. I think guys like Burston and Finnefrock, they're hustling. They're out there hustling. McPeak on the bench right now, but they don't want their career ending right here. They want to advance. They want to move on. They just ran into a defensive buzzsaw called the Siena Saints.
And the Saints were an offensive buzzsaw in the first half as well, shooting nearly 55% from the floor and about the same on three-pointers. Micah Ogburn has come into the game for Siena for the first time. Crowd chanting Scalzo. Brian Scalzo, one of the walk-ons for the Saints, is the crowd favorite. And the folks who are in from Albany wanting to see the Wheeze come into the game.
The Wheeze. Everybody loves the walk-ons. Everybody likes to see the underdog, the Rudies of the world, get in the game and nail some threes. How was you? Were you that way in high school, Doug? Or were you out? Were you out on the floor?
No,
you were
I
on the floor.
Buried.
Were you buried in the bench?
Buried.
Really? Wow. I'm going to have
Buried.
to talk to Jack Armstrong about trying to get you, find ways to make you a better player.
But again, see, I didn't reach my growth spurt until I was in college.
Is that
so
right?
That's my excuse. I was 5'5" on the varsity.
You were 5'5"?
5'5".
Interesting. Very interesting. So when did you start shaving, like 26?
29.
29. Serious late bloomer.
Seriously.
Wow.
Let's go over to Jack.
I know that you have a much better game than you're willing to talk about, but I don't know if you want any advice from me. If I was any good, I'd still be standing where Paul Hewitt is right now.
Yeah. Ask St. John's. Ask St. John's how good a coach you were last year, coming in to the Garden, knocking those guys off. I still think you were a great coach, Jack. How about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and there are a lot of people still here in Western New York who would say that as well.
And they're still buzzing about that loss. You know that Joe Mihalik was not too happy playing St. John's this year after Jack Armstrong and Niagara came into the Garden, knocked him off last year, gave him some incentive to play him this year. And I miss those late-night conversations Jack Armstrong and I used to have about putting together strategies to games, and Jack was always cordial, so cordial and embracing to me as helping me prepare.
Micah Ogburn lost it out of bounds. 3:42 left to go in the second. We've got a timeout on the floor. Siena on the verge of reaching the century mark. They lead 99-67 on the MAAC television network. This game is brought to you in part by Marine Midland Bank for all your financial needs. The Pepsi-Cola Company. GMAC, the GM College Grad Program, and your local Pontiac dealers. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Bob Stores, great buys on brands you wear. The New York Lottery Games, hey, you never know. Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. Mazda, get in, be moved. And by Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. Back in downtown Buffalo, we take a look at our Pepsi Slam of the game. Greg Burston up ahead to Ken Lacey for the Ryder Bronx. Great pass, great catch, and a great look to throw it down. Pepsi Slam of the game, Mr. Ken Lacey. Doug Sherman and Glenn Consor back courtside. Game 3 of our 4 men's quarterfinals here at the Marine Midland Arena. And it's been all Siena. Saints lead 99-67. Iona against Marist to follow. And Paul Hewitt Saints will get the winner of that one. Melvin Freeney at the line, 80% on the year. This is senior season. And again, we mentioned it was interrupted for quite a while because of viral pericarditis. And that snapped an 84 straight game string where he had started every game dating back to his freshman year. But they corrected the problem, and he has a clean bill of health and hoping to go out on a nice run in the postseason.
And when Freeney came back on the floor for Siena, their turnovers have been cut in half. He's one of these guys that really understands how to play. He runs the show nicely. You don't want to mess with Finnefrock. You don't want to mess with him. I wouldn't mess with Finnefrock. He's tough. He's not going to let anyone push him around. He didn't like being held and he's just expressing himself right there to Leroy.
He and Micah Ogburn got tied up on this rebound.
You keep your eye on Finnefrock, and as you see, just gets his hands, and you see Ogburn just kind of push him away, and just shows some of the frustrations during the course of this game. The 37 minutes that Finnefrock has been experiencing, and he's a great kid, though. Great person to talk to, loves the game, plays with a lot of passion.
Bob Madigan going around and telling everybody, knock it off. And we've talked about, as big as he is.
I'm not going to say a word then for the rest of the show. No. Let the picture tell the story until he tells me it's okay.
Well, again, I can't emphasize enough how this Rider basketball team, in spite of falling behind, has fought the whole way, and they certainly can be proud of themselves as they finish up. Burston goes out for perhaps the last time as a senior here at Rider, and Finnefrock as well at the foul line.
You got to give a lot of credit to the seniors. Finnefrock and Burston, McPeak have been through a lot together. Coming into this conference last year, first time they had a great season, getting to the NITs. Just doing a terrific job, accomplishing a lot their first year in the MAAC.
And nobody expected them last year moving up to the MAAC.
As juniors, those guys really were contributors. And now they just ran into a very, very talented, versatile Siena St. team.
That I think if you ask Coach Hewitt, which maybe we'll get the chance after the ball game, was that the best first half or half of basketball they've played this year? I would think it's got to be in the top 2 or 3.
Absolutely.
Lacey blocked by Taylor, and at the horn, the people's choice for the Siena Saints will be coming in, Brian Scalzo. Well, 2 years ago, we were here when the Saints were blown out by Canisius in the first round. That was the largest margin of victory in a MAAC tournament game. And right now, the Saints up 32. Chances are that record will stand. And that game right there was probably the low point for Siena. And since that time, Paul Hewitt came in and has turned it around.
He certainly has.
Freeney going out.
To Paul Hewitt's credit, coming in and instilling a whole new system, a whole new way of playing to players that were used to playing, obviously not as fast, not pressing for 40 minutes is not an easy thing to do as a coach, to get guys to buy into your new system. Paul Hewitt has done it, and he's really taken it to the next level.
Well, at his opening press conference, Paul Hewitt said, my goal is to take this team to postseason play this year. And he was talking about a team that had just lost that game by 40 points to Canisius. So he instilled that he had confidence in them right from the beginning. Scalzo and Finnefrock get tied up. Boy, Finnefrock has wound up in a wrestling match with most everybody.
You got to give Finnefrock so much credit. All over the place, sticking with it.
Speaking about MAAC tournament memories, I was at that game at the old Knickerbocker Arena where LaSalle beat Siena 106-90, and that was the night, and Jack may remember this as well, it was the night that Hank Gathers died on the court at Loyola Marymount. And the reason that was significant was that the LaSalle ball players, many of them from Philadelphia, were old buddies of Hank Gathers, who was from Philly. And the word trickled down to the bench late in the game. I was on the microphone calling the radio, and we didn't know what had happened until we went to commercial break. And my board operator at the time told me of the news flash over the AP wire that Hank Gathers had died. And then you understood why all the Philadelphia guys were literally crying on the floor. Lionel Simmons, among the rest of them, were crying on the floor.
Doug Overton, Lionel Simmons, such an emotional and tight-knit group. And when Hank Gathers passed away, I think it really brought out a lot of emotions just from really the whole basketball community. That guy was going to be a first-round draft pick, a sweet human being, terrific basketball player. But anytime one of your homeboys, something bad happens to one of your homeboys, you don't forget that stuff.
Yep. As I recall, Hank Gathers' mom was up in the stands, and she came down and was comforting her son. And it was quite an emotional night. They almost interrupted the MAAC tournament. Actually, I believe the MAAC officials gave LaSalle the option if they didn't want to play the next round game that next day, as Ogburn turns it over. They didn't have to, which I thought was a classy move by the MAAC. But the LaSalle players, Overton, Woods, and Simmons, chose to play on.
Well, Doug, when you take a look at the statistics to this game, one thing that will jump out at you, 29 turnovers from Rider. It's a tough thing to fight out of.
Porter fouled by another one of the walk-ons into the game, Rob Connors. from Colchester, Vermont. And also Bill Robinson. You got to mention the walk-ons. He and Scalzo were high school teammates in Albany at Christian Brothers Academy. They're both in the game now. Let's go back over to Jack.
Guys, first of all, that Loyola Marymount team I coached against at Niagara that year, that Hank Gathers died, and what an outstanding player he would have been in the NBA. Also in this game, Tony Newsom, the assistant at Ryder, my former point guard at Niagara, he was an assistant at Siena for 2 years, and now is the assistant at Ryder. Mixed emotions for him. He recruited a lot of these guys to Siena for Bob Byer. So a lot of sadness tonight with the season going to an end for Ryder, but also the fact he helped the Siena program.
That's a great point. Tony Newsom still very close, as you mentioned, to a lot of the kids, and as you can attest to, you don't just forget about the kids when you leave a program. Block shot by Lacey.
And that's really an area where I think a lot of the fans and the viewers really forget about the close-knit relationships that are developed from a player-coach standpoint and the caring that's involved. And from a coaching standpoint, you're really acting as that child's guardian and parent during the 4 years of college.
Lacey the rebound. 101-73 Siena. 20 seconds to go.
A lot of trust involved there in recruiting.
Jeff Franz, we should mention as well. Walk on for Ryder. Misfires on the shot. And the Siena Saints will march into the MAAC semifinals. 3 seconds to go. And other than the 7-6 early start, the Saints ran away with it. A 15-0 run early helped Paul Hewitt's club to an impressive 101-73 victory here at the Marine Midland Arena. We'll take a break. We got plenty coming up, including the start of our talk about the final quarterfinal here from Buffalo. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. We're back in Buffalo. Final score, Siena 101, Ryder 73. The Saints improved to 23-5 overall after going 13-5 during the regular year in the MAAC and sharing the championship. And now the Saints are into the semifinals where they'll take on the winner of the game that's upcoming. The Marist Red Foxes and the Iona Gales are on the court. We've got that coming up in about 20 minutes. But the Saints impressive from beginning to end.
Oh, absolutely. And they did it with defense. A great offensive performance, especially from the bench. Archibald did a great job coming off the bench, as did Knapp. Obviously, this is a very deep and dangerous Siena Saint team. Okay, our Pepsi player of the game, no doubt about it, Corey Osinski, the junior forward out of Shalmont High School in Schenectady. He finished up with a game high in the point totals of 24 points, 10 for 12 from the field. You see the 6 rebounds, 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Corey Osinski, our Pepsi player of the game. And at this time, he is standing by with Jack Armstrong. Jack?
First of all, I have Paul Hewitt with me, the winning coach at Siena. Paul, I got to ask you, your defensive intensity tonight was just outstanding. You really turned the heat up on Ryder, and I think you're at your best when your D is at your best.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, when we pressure people the way we pressure people, we're going to get a lot of easy scoring opportunities, and obviously we've got some guys who can bang some threes. But as you and I have talked throughout the year, when our half-court defense is there, that's the thing that really makes us special.
And as you well know in tournament play, you got to have that grit and determination in the half-court D. I talked a lot about it, having the style and now getting the substance, and tonight you really had the substance.
Yeah, especially the guy to your left there. You know, he's been great for us all year, getting defensive rebounds. Obviously, his scoring is something I've grown to take for granted, actually, but the way he defensive rebounds and the rest of the guys get involved, it just makes us a real, real tough team.
Well, Corey, tonight you had a nice night at the office, I would say. 10 for 12 shooting, 24 points. Having coached against you for a few years, I think a big key in your game is your added strength and conditioning. I think it's made a major difference, not only inside, but on the perimeter. Talk about it.
Definitely. I mean, you know, my strength is able me to get inside, and my players really got me the ball tonight. You know, I got a lot of easy shots and just playing hard as I could because I know we got a lot to play for, and we can't take anybody lightly. And, you know, we played a great game tonight, and, you know, our players, everybody was working on all cylinders tonight. So.
You know, what do you think the key is now? You have an opportunity to play again tomorrow, and you never know about Monday. You got to win tomorrow. But what do you think the key is going to be going into tomorrow's game, whether it be Iona or Marist?
We just got to do what we've been doing all year, playing hard, get our press working, get on the boards because, you know, the past couple games, you know, we haven't been on the boards as much, but tonight we came out and did a good job on the boards, and I think really rebound is the key and our pressure as always.
Well, fellas, great job tonight. Back to you, fellas.
All right, thank you, Jack. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Corey. Osinski, our Pepsi player of the game after scoring 24 points, one of his best games of the season, and the Saints move on to the semis. The Saints moving on, we'll have to wait and see who their opponent will be, but if Siena plays as it did in the first half, it's not going to matter who they play.
No, it's not, and I think the key that Corey Osinski said is hitting the offensive boards. Siena's such a good outside shooting team that Paul Hewitt really instilled in practice, at least yesterday. He said, look, we have to go after the offensive glass. If we can't make the three-point shots, I want guys like Osinski and Brandon Fields to give us second-chance opportunities, and that's what happened here today against Ryder.
Okay, we'll take a break and come back once again to the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo, New York. We are between games with our fourth quarterfinal coming up. In the third, Siena moves on impressively, beating Ryder. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. We're back in Buffalo. Siena 101, Ryder 73. The Saints eliminate the Bronx from the 1999 MAAC tournament here in Buffalo. And welcome back, everybody. Doug Sherman along with Glenn Consor. Glad you've been able to stay with us all day. We've been on the air since 9:30 this morning with 2 women's games, 3 men's games, and we've got the final one coming up between Iona and Marist. Should be an interesting one, and should be interesting. Finally, I get to see your 1998-99 All-Star teams for Best Defensive Team and for
Most Improved.
Let's see it.
Now you can stop bugging me.
It's about time.
So here it is. Here's my Most Improved players. And the criteria here is looking for guys that really worked on their deficiencies. And you can't be a first-year player in the MAAC to beyond my teams. Alvin Young obviously really stepped it up. I think he improved his overall game. His ability to make three-point shots has been an issue. Corey Osinski might be the most improved player in the league. We just had a good example of what Corey can do. Darrell Brown, I think, really stepped it up. Didier Boucard, his ability to make outside shots and hit the boards and block shots. I think Kevin Worley's overall floor game tremendously improved. No one ever questioned his ability to make outside shots. Thomas Kenny didn't get a lot of playing time, but he worked on his game over the summer. Khalif Allen really stepped it up in the absence of Jamar Hunter. Jeremiah Johnson, his floor game and decision-making ability at the point guard spot has been one of the reasons Niagara's been so strong. I think Rod Platt has improved his game, and also Keith Lampkin, a guy that we quite often forget about some of the things that he can do well, and that's my most improved team.
Glenn, I really thought I had a chance to make that team this year.
Well, you've improved as an announcer, without a doubt. This guy really has come a long way.
Maybe I'll make the all-defensive team. Let's take a look.
There you go. And the all-defensive team, these guys really, you're on there. I just forgot to put you on. We didn't have another spot for a 6-man, Doug, but you take a look at Melvin Freeney. We just saw Melvin Freeney. Very underrated defensive player. Might be the best on-ball defender in the league. Jason Rowe with his great anticipation skills. Kashif Hamid led the conference in block shots. Boucard, he's one of those guys, those forwards that can go out and guard point guards, but is a power forward in this league. And Jamar Hunter, a great on-ball defender with very, very quick hands and quick feet. He's been playing banged up.
Well, good to see Kashif Hamid on that list. As you mentioned, he led the conference in block shots. He did the same last year. He was the player of the year in the conference last year. He's coming up in our final quarterfinal, and from what I understand, he's back to being healthy.
Yeah, he is. He's still not 100%. He doesn't have the great elevation and great explosiveness that he had last year, but he's still one of these guys that could dominate inside, and he could dominate with his defense.
Trying to keep that ankle fresh and healthy for what they're hoping is 3 games this weekend. We'll take another break from Buffalo and come back. We're between games of our MAAC quarterfinals. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. Back in Buffalo, we're winding down. About 15 minutes from now, Marist and Iona will tip things off in the 4th and final quarterfinal. Should be a doozy because the Red Foxes and the Gales have had 2 barn burners during the regular season. Now, in case you haven't been able to watch the entire MAAC tournament here today, we've been on since 9:30 this morning. Let's catch up to date with some of the action that has happened here in Western New York. We know 3 of the 4 semifinalists that will begin tomorrow. Let's check the brackets first. Brought to you by Citizens Communications. And the first semifinal tomorrow will pit the Purple Eagles against the Peacocks.
Great matchup in the backcourt there. Jeremiah Johnson, Alvin Young going up against the 3-guard tandem, Khalif Allen, Jamar Hunter, and Ricky Bellinger. It's going to be a great matchup. Obviously, the winner of this Iona-Marist game is going to go up against a terrific Siena team that caused 31 turnovers right through in this past game, and they had 9 steals. You do the math there, there's about 17 of those turnovers were caused by Siena, and they weren't caused off of steals, so that's really like unforced turnovers. That's because they got nervous against the pressure.
And the Saints got great production again from a lot of people. The bench really came up big. Scott Knapp came off the bench, and he finished with 19 points. And Dwayne Archibald had 22.
Oh, without a doubt. You know, you talk about some of the deep teams in the conference, and it's no secret that Niagara and Siena, the two teams in the upper echelon of this conference, they're a very deep team. I think in the way of offensive strengths and guys that can really put points on the board, I think Siena might be the deepest team in this league. I think Niagara might have a deeper backcourt. But overall, soup to nuts, Siena's strong.
Soup to nuts, I like
that,
it.
Huh?
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back
hungry.
to Buffalo in just a moment. We're winding down on the Red Foxes against the Gales. Stay tuned. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. We're back in Buffalo. Marist against Iona coming up. The two teams have just headed back into the locker room. So at this time, we'll send it over to Jack Armstrong, standing by with a special guest.
I have Tony Childs, the assistant at Iona. Tony, this is a difficult game to prepare for. You have to spend the entire day, and this game probably won't start till right around 10 o'clock. What'd you guys do today to get prepared for this game and kill some of the time?
We brought the guys over to the gym, let them watch the game earlier to get a feel for the gym and get a feel for the gymnasium and the atmosphere. Then we went back, watched a little bit of film, and then let them relax, and then got them over here in time to see a little bit of the first game.
This is like the West Coast game. We're going to be prime time tonight in L.A. and Phoenix. So
that Hawaii trip earlier in the year is going to help us out with this.
That's right. You guys played in Idaho this year and Hawaii, so all that preparation might help you on this late-night game tonight.
Hopefully. We'll see.
How do you feel tonight with your matchup against Marist? What do you think the biggest key for your team is tonight?
Rebounding. The two games we played, and whoever won the war on the boards won the game. So we're going to go out and really crash the boards and try to control that and then go inside to our big guys and see what happens.
And, Tony, what do you think right now? You know, you guys have played good basketball right now. What do you think has been the big key of late of your team really starting to play a lot better basketball?
We got healthy. We had a lot of injuries. Everyone got healthy, and now we're all on the same page. So hopefully we can continue through and play well tonight and see what happens.
Good luck. Back to you, fellas.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, Jack. We're getting close to the start of this fourth quarterfinal. Marist against Iona. You won't want to miss it. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. The last time Iona and Marist met,
tipped out by Hastings. 1 second left. They will count if it goes. It counts. A three-pointer by Hamid at the buzzer.
the Gales snuck out of Poughkeepsie with a 1-point win. Third-seeded Iona comes in as the tournament's defending champs, and Gales swingman Tariq Kirksey is one of the best all-around players in the conference. For sixth-seeded Marist, Bobby Joe Hatton leads a senior backcourt that's one of the league's finest. Red Foxes keep the turnovers down while putting up points in bunches. It's Iona taking on Marist in our fourth and final men's MAAC quarterfinal. At the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo, New York, it's our fourth men's quarterfinal between the Marist Red Foxes and the Iona Gales at the MAAC basketball tournament. And welcome back, everybody, to Western New York. Doug Sherman along with Glenn Consor. Glad you could stay with us here tonight for our finale of our MAAC television package.
Finale?
Finale.
I thought we had 3 more games right after this. We're going to 6 in the morning,
You do.
no?
I'm going home to bed.
I see. Okay.
But nonetheless, the Gales come in as the hottest team in the league, having won 4 in a row. We take a look at the tournament brackets and let you see where it stacks up. And even though the Gales are the defending champs, they're on a roll. You know they don't like facing Marist in the first round. They, as we saw, took them right down to the wire last time out.
No, Marist is a type of team with the great guard play that could really do some damage against Iona. I think rebounding is going to be the key for both teams. Whoever wins the war on the boards could win this basketball game.
Well, the second leading rebounder in the conference is Tariq Kirksey. As we take a look at him, he is a force all the way around for the Gales, a junior swingman who can play every position.
Well, Kirksey's been the double-double man for Iona. Tariq Superfly Kirksey, that is, a great wardrobe. But Chief Hamid might be the key to this game. His ability to finish inside and get rebounds are going to be so important.
Meanwhile, every time we have a Marist telecast, the only place you want to talk about is the senior backcourt, the two Latinos who speak Spanish to each other and have great communication and great skills on the floor.
Well, they're battle-tested Bobby Joe Hatton's ability to penetrate really opens up the outside game for Bo Larrigan, who could really nail it. There's nothing that these two guards have not seen over the past 4 years that they can't handle.
All right, Glenn, keys to the game first for the Iona Gales. They are brought to us by Citizens Communications.
Well, both Bo Larrigan and Bobby Joe Hatton could take you off the bounce. They're going to have to deny dribble penetration, but really establish themselves in the paint. Chelabunk might be the key this game defensively. From Iona's going to have to stop Chelabunk because he can make some outside shot. For Marist, it's going to be important for Marist to really defend the inside, keep Hamid off the boards, and the X factor not only defensively but offensively. If Chelabunk could hit some outside shots, that could open up the inside game for Marist. And they're a very good low-post team.
Well, the Iona Gales come in with a record of 16-13 overall. The Marist Red Foxes 15-11. And when we come back, we'll have the starting lineups. Tomas Chelabunk and the Red Foxes trying to move into the semis. You're watching the MAAC Television Network.